by being outspoken, but also like fun and you know, and then like and young, you know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
It's hard to explain, and I don't know if you fully get the perspective, because I'm also looking at it from an aged perspective. Like when I was 20, I didn't get to hear Black voices talk about certain topics that also reflected my energy and my view of the world. It was always like an elder, you know, pointing their finger, telling me to pull my pants up, something along those lines. And they may have said something cool in between that, but that pull your pants up line will always fuck up the vibe. You know what I'm saying?
Right, yeah.
So I guess why do you think that was important to you to kind of be somewhat explicit about like the things you're seeing in anime communities or in like just nerd culture communities around racism, around representation? Like what kind of spurred that on?
Well, because I think that specifically a lot of people are just not necessarily like fine with certain things, but they're just like used to them, and like it's like, okay, well, this happens a lot, you know, this is just the norm. But it's like, you know, when you deconstruct certain things and you're like, okay, well, let me take this thing and actually look at it, you know, and like actually try to like analyze like the problems around it, it's like you realize, well, like, no, this is like a serious issue. And a lot of people realize that, or they realize that if they look at it for more than 5 seconds, that it's going to be a serious issue, but they choose to not, you know, talk about it, either because they don't care enough, which is fine, or because, you know, they don't want to like get, you know, an overwhelming amount of hate. Because I noticed with a lot of these, like, you know, anti-SJW, you know, YouTube channels where like they make like a 2 to 5 minute video on like some Twitter shit, and it gets like 500,000 views, and they're like, oh, this 20 follower person, you know, had a problem with how this Black character looked in this anime. Let's fucking dogpile them and make them want to like hate themselves forever. It's like, you know, these people, they get bullied and like to shutting up. And, you know, more often than not, you don't see them going back and forth with, you know, bigger people or people with audiences, because they either don't exist because bigger people don't want to mess with that type of stuff, or, you know, you're like me and they don't interact with you like ever. But, you know, all I do is call them out and call this stuff out because they're used to, you know, being bullies. Like they want to dogpile, you know, the people that don't have a platform to stand on. And that's why I feel like, you know, it's important, as in I do have some sort of, I guess, recognition that it's like, you know, important, but obviously, like you said, I'm not, you know, super into perspective about it, because at the end of the day, it's just like I'm doing what I like doing. But you know, I realize that, you know, what I like doing is important, because, you know, if I was in a position where I had like no followers and I still was saying what I was saying, it would be, you know, at least motivating to me to see somebody, you know, with a somewhat sizable audience saying these things. Because I'm like, okay, well, somebody's listening, you know, somebody's out there, you know, fighting for these correct things or expressing their opinion. Somebody's saying it.
Yeah, I feel similarly when I think about, so I got on, I always say that low key, my goal was to be Black Lindsay Ellis when I first started. I came up on YouTube like, from the earliest days when you were fucking 4 watching like, you know, Nostalgia Critic, you know, a lot of that early, you know, media commentary type content, and so I had always just been annoyed that people barely talked about Black movies, the good and the bad. And when they did, it was always like with kid gloves. They didn't understand half of it. You know what I'm saying? And so I was like, all right, bet I'm gonna come in, I'm gonna do all this. Like my second video was about Coming to America, the quintessential, at least my generation, Black movie. Right. Like the first meme of the Black millennial is all of them are Coming to America. But then like literally a month after I made that video, maybe Kevin Samuels started getting hot. And I was just like frustrated, because I was like, man, this is the voice of Black men in social media right now. Is this dude telling women that they're average at best? So it's just like, at least like, so I'm a hip hop fan, right? I'm not a fan of misogyny, but I'm a fan of hip hop. And so I massage my moral compass to be okay with like some of the shit you'll hear, especially in hip hop from the 90s when I was your age, or the early 2000s. But like, you can make the argument that in hip hop, we're talking about characters and we're talking about art. So it gets, you know, it gets at least debatable, right? When it's just dudes saying bad and mean things to black women, it's like, well, you know, what can be done there? And so like almost immediately as I started getting a significant following, I started getting like calls and like people in my comments saying, you should talk about this. You should talk about this. And I've always been getting saying, I need to say something about Samuels and the Black Manosphere, And I never did because of what you just said just now to an extent, which is one, I didn't want to get dogpiled because I did once talking about Tariq Nasheed. But two, I thought I want to get big enough so that I am not like pissing into the wind. Right. Like when I come to say something, it's not just me by myself. Like I've now built a community around my content that is behind a lot of the things I have to say, which shows other people. Because my belief is, and I don't, and you tell me, because you have different generations, so it'd be interesting to get your perspective. But my belief is a lot of black folks, especially black men, or at least black mass people, I say, kind of let bullshit ride because they sometimes feel like they're the only ones feeling like that, and they're afraid of being ostracized, you know what I'm saying, for it.
Right, yeah.
Like, and I feel like that's what's made me successful to an extent, because I think a lot of black men, young and old, were feeling the same way I was feeling, but didn't see it. You know, they didn't see anybody saying it except for, you know, Derek Jackson or something, which is hard to, I don't know if you know who he is. You don't have to know.
I do not.
Think about like the polar opposite of Kevin Samuels, but like also a meme. Like hilarious. It's hard to explain. Anyway, I lost where I was going. The point is, I don't know the fuck the point was. I was just talking about like how I'm trying to get to how important it is for black folks, black men, young and old, to, you know, in a sad way, counteract kind of the narratives that are around us a lot of times, and give other young black men or older black men space to feel represented on these platforms, in social media and out in the world, and not feel like they're a niche, but no, they're themselves and they're part of a norm, you know?
Yeah, 100%. I feel like that is how I feel too. Because if anything, whenever I started like saying, you know, kind of controversial things in my head, I was like, well, I don't know if niggas gonna fuck with this. You know, I don't know if people gonna like this. You know, I'm like, oh, I'm kind of like you said, kind of pissing into the wind. Like that's kind of how I would feel. But when I started doing that, and then I started having people in my comments being like, yo, like this is exactly how I've been feeling forever, or yo, somebody finally made a video on this, or yo, like in your videos, all you do is like put my thoughts into words. And I'm like, oh my God, like, no, people do think like this. I'm not like some weird outlier. Like there are people who think like this that are just, you know, like you said, they just kind of like bullshit ride, because, you know, if you don't, like, you be compromising kind of whatever like security you have, or like, you know, in the aspect of like, you know, conforming, you know, because people are gonna look at you and think you're weird. You know, they're gonna come at you for disrupting the status quo, stuff like that, you know, when it comes to addressing problems.
Let's talk about this weird. We like to call them weird guys over here on Left Tube. So you were in a video with what was the other guy's name? I don't remember his name.
Say again?
What was the other guy's name? I don't remember his name.
Who? Daft Pina.
Daft Pina. And it was a weird guy video, and he's definitely a weird guy. And unlike most weird guys, he seems to be, because he has a big channel, right?
Right. Yeah. Like big channel, established, a couple of years, has like a couple million subscribers. Big, like a big guy.
So is he like getting a lot of views? Because some channels will have a lot of subscribers, but they don't hit those subscribers in their views. So I'm just wondering why he is very not trying to like take this L.
So he's in an interesting spot. He's one of those people who's had a pre-established audience, you know, getting big on doing something, and then has a radical shift into doing the whole, you know, politics, you know, alpha male type of deal. So it's like, yeah, and then he has a side channel he made that's for reactions. That's like his whole big deal.
Okay.
So he has a really loyal base of people that validate him anytime he says anything that is wrong or it's just incorrect. so he has like that safety net, you know, to fall under. And those are typically the most annoying people to call out, because no matter what you say or what you show that they've said, they're gonna have the person's back, like no matter what. Like it is what it is. But he is one of those people that's falling down that weird pipeline of like, you know, anti-women, you know, anti all this stuff. Yeah, Andrew Tate, all this other weird
somebody shit. Brought a guy to my attention named Sneeko.
Yeah, he's like one of those political people who's like,
is he political? He just seems like, let me be empathetic, because I only watched like 5 minutes, and literally in this 5 minutes of this dude's video, let me stop. Hold on. Literally all he talked about was that he wasn't on his meds anymore for like 5-10 minutes, and how now he understood the world better. And I was like, and I really like, I didn't laugh in the moment. I'm laughing about it now because it's like genuinely humorous. It sounds like something from a skit. But in the moment I was like, man, I'm watching this dude. They're watching this dude have a straight up breakdown. And like sending him super chats. Like, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, fuck, this dude's clearly not well right now. And yeah, like so like that seems to me it's a clear grift. I just watched something about Andrew Tate today that really broke down his whole, like the moves he's made. And like I don't he won't be here forever, but there'll be another one, because there's so many young dudes looking for strong male figures to leech masculinity from on the internet.
It's funny how that is, because every couple of so months, you know, when one guy is say like, you know, the alpha male, you know, like, oh, I'm the you know, the person that they look towards, you know, either they get embarrassed as shit to where people can't latch on to them anymore, or they just, you know, become out of the picture somehow. You know, Kevin Samuels, he passed away, you know, and so it's like, you know, it's not over, because in like 2 to 3 months, it's gonna be some other new guy that's gonna get viral, that they're gonna latch towards, because all these people need. You know, it's funny because they always talk about, oh, your fatherless this, your fatherless that, you know, that any disenfranchised.
Most of these motherfuckers don't be having fathers though.
They look into a nigga on the internet, you know, to tell them all this shit to look towards. That's all they do. Like they're lost without that sort of person. You know, it's like they need somebody to look towards, to be like, oh, W Sneeko, W Tate. And it's like the niggas that you are looking towards, you know, for like, you know, security and like, you know, have all this shit figured out. One of them off their fucking meds. The other one is, you know, been investigated for fucking human trafficking and shit.
Right.
It's like, these aren't the model niggas you should be looking towards. And like, they only look all cool and collected when they're in their own like little confines of like whatever situation they bring up. If you look at any fucking debate, well, it was Sneeko, and he was like, I think he was going against like Papa Gut or something, like on stream. I think the guy's name is.
Yeah,
and
I know Papa Gut.
He made a joke like insinuating that he was a high value man, and Sneeko wasn't. And then the nigga started freaking out. He was like, "Oh, you're trying to emasculate me?" Like he was just talking fast, like on some Ben Shapiro shit. And he was like, "Calm the fuck down, I'm just joking." And it's like, it's really funny seeing people like him, you know, the people that are like, "Oh, I'm gonna randomly, you know, put this on this person on the street on the spot, you know, where I look cool and collected, and you know they look freaked out or whatever, and you know I'm gonna upload that, and it's like, oh, Sneeko's the cool collected guy." It's funny seeing him freak out in any sort of environment that isn't controlled by him, and it's like, this is your man's. This is the nigga that you look towards.
The funny thing to me, piggybacking off that, is that especially at my age, all these niggas is nerds.
Yeah.
All these alpha men. Like, I'm a nerd, but I ain't a fucking lame.
Right. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm fucking saying.
And so it's like, when I watch a lot of these alpha male podcast dudes, you look at a Fresh or Fit, Myron.
Yeah.
He has a book. I didn't read the whole thing, but like I got the gist of it. Like, he talks about being a socially awkward, unlikable nerd, and then he learned the game, which is clearly true to an extent. But you can also still tell when he talks that he doesn't have strong social skills, or he wouldn't say stupid. Like, literally, if he went to a normal party that wasn't his controlled environment,
right,
and said some of the things he said, there wouldn't be like, oh, it would be like, oh.
Right. It's like what's wrong with this nigga?
Right. The dude Sneako, the dude Andrew Tate, a lot of these folks, and it's funny though how they at a minimum they have the audacity to want to capitalize and grift other young boys who were just like they were,
right?
Who are looking for masculine energy and of affirmation. That's why they know to make fun of the fact that people don't got dads, because they know how that feels,
right?
You know what I'm saying? They know how that feels. They know how it feels to be ostracized, and it goes back even to the anime dudes. This is a space where the real niggas that would have checked them in real life don't have that same power. They have the power.
Right.
And so the way they wield that is by creating these personas, this alpha male shit, that most of them didn't really have before they had clout on the internet. Right. And that's the part that makes me maybe the most sad, because you know, I was a teacher. I worked with juvenile justice. I've always worked with young people, and I've always focused on young black men for the most part, because it was clear to me early on that nobody was really like trying to see them as, you know, empathize with them. It's a lot of like pull your pants up rhetoric from the elders, but nobody like gave a little nigga a hug. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like that would be my thing, is like the principal would definitely come in and yell and do all the stuff, and I grab a nigga and be like, hey man, you all right? You know, and then pat him on the back and hope he has a better day. And so like that's what so many of these boys need. They don't realize it, or moreover, they feel weak for their desire for it. But just as you pointed out, a lot of them collapse under pressure.
Yeah.
Because they are in emotionally fragile states. I saw the debate between Hassan and Andrew Tate the other day. And Hassan, you know, within the left tube sphere, Hassan isn't even known as like a great debater compared to the real debate bros, and I'm gonna leave it at that.
Right.
But he it was so funny, like halfway through the debate, like Andrew Tate took off his headphones and lit a blunt because he needed a break. Because he was getting cooked. Right. And it was so funny, and he was in his element, you know, so at least surrounded by his sycophants in their chat or whatever. And it's like Andrew Tate, like after watching this video, he was essentially a fatherless child. His father wasn't around a lot. He was a chess prodigy. You know what I'm saying? So like, right. You know, this dude wasn't in middle school and high school, going to the top parties, being homecoming king.
Bitches.
He was, not at all. He was a lot like a lot of us. And he decided very young. I think he also got into fighting it early on too, which definitely gives you a certain perspective, like a killer be killed perspective on life. But it's just sad and interesting to watch these clear nerds manufacture these alpha male personas in a space where nobody that's really an alpha can check them, except for another alpha nerd, I guess.
Right.
You know?
It is interesting to see, because it's clearly evident that with these people, they've advanced in all ways except for like emotionally. You know, it's like, you know, they could get super jacked, they could get super rich, all these, you know, nice cars, they could get all these, you know, girls or whatever that they pay and shit, you know, or just get from clout. But at the end of the day, they're still like that emotionally stunted, like, you know, little nerdy nigga, right? And it's like, it's really evident to see that, because when they're put in any position that isn't a controlled environment, you know, where they can't act all super cool and suave and like the person that, you know, they the people that are fans of them want them to be, it's clearly evident like how they actually are. Yeah. And it's like, okay, well, you did work in every aspect that wasn't important as the one that you missed, the, like, you know, the actual growth and from here, like you're still a hurt, you know, kind of disturbed person, you know, based on how you look at stuff. It's like Andrew Tate, like you said, like he constantly looks at things like, you know, from a combative point of view. There was a video where he was talking about how he went to therapy for like the first time, and how he thinks therapy sucks and you should thug it out like a real alpha male man and all that other shit. And like specifically, he did a thing like he ifed at like the therapist, and a nigga dropped his pen. He was like, okay, well, I've defeated you. You know, I can clearly see, you know, that your mental fortitude is not mine. And it's like you physically startled a nigga. Like that shit. You probably startled this like mid-30s like male. Like what the fuck do you think was gonna happen? And how do you think that's gonna
that really showed him?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like these niggas, they think that, you know, they go through life getting bullied, you know, verbally, you know, or physically, and, you know, then they get jacked, and they think that they can just punch their way out of anything, you know, or they think that, like you said, kill or be killed. And it's like that's not how you look at things.
Being bullied creates a like intensely perverted understanding of human interaction, which is why bullying is so dangerous, and like we need to do more for real to stop bullying. Like, we'll say stop bullying, but like America was built on bullying. You know what I'm saying? Like bullying is intrinsic to the American way. But like, you know, when young people, especially young men, because bullying happens across gender, obviously, but with young men and boys in particular, because it has a violence aspect and because it has an emasculation aspect, it intensely perverts like how you see other people's humanity and your own, to the point where like I believe he genuinely felt a sense of victory for making a nigga drop his pen by saying boo. You know what I'm saying? Like that probably made his day. There was a snippet from the video. He was like, I don't even enjoy sex. Sex is stupid. You know, like it's like you're so alpha. You've switched all the way back around. And I'm hoping it's not coming off like there's nothing wrong with like being ace, right? But like he's not being ace. He's trying to so present a sense of power and domination that he just can't even be happy.
It's like you trying to like alpha male the shit out of like human experiences. It's like, nigga, have a conversation for once without treating it as like an obstacle to overcome. Enjoy yourself. Like,
enjoy yourself. Fucking shit. Like, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it's like that's the emphasis on that is needed, because it feels like with these niggas, it's like you do all this like, you know, talking and all of this conflict. You tell all these stories, you know, of like how you're proving yourself, you know, to be the alpha and insert, you know, random scenario. And it's like, nigga, are you happy? Like, do you enjoy anything? Like,
when's the last time you felt joy? You know,
it's like, what's the last time that you sat down and you've been like, yeah, I'm fulfilled right now. You know, I feel like I'm the shit. You know, and not just, oh, momentarily, you know, I asserted dominance on this person who wasn't, you know, a threat figure to me at all in the moment, nor tried to make themselves feel that way.
Yeah, and that to me, aside from the misogyny, right? Because we're talking about also the way this rhetoric, the easiest people to dominate are women, and then also like, you know, sexual minorities, people who have various levels of ostracism and vulnerability in society. So I don't want to diminish that, but it does make me sad in a different type of way, to be around dudes that are so alpha that they've lost their humanity in it.
Right.
You know, they've lost, like he said, like I was really like, I wasn't paying no attention to Andrew Tate because I could kind of peg what was going on, but watching this video and watching some of his like, you know, little snippets or whatever, he's like, I can never see myself having children and settling down and having fun. Like, I always got to be doing something next. I got to be sad. And it's like, that sounds horrible.
Yeah.
You know, that sounds really bad, that like your dream is death. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right, yeah. There's no
oblivion.
There's no like nice little, you know, end goal where you can like sit down, you know, and just enjoy things. It's always gotta be, you know, always gotta be the alpha, you know, I always gotta prove this person wrong. I always gotta assert my dominance, you know. And it's like, where does it end?
Like, learn a new skill.
Right, pick up a hobby. Right. Like you said, frolic. Go frolic.
Go for a walk. You know what I'm saying? It's movies out. You want to see the new Thor, my nigga? Like it's, you know, it is a weird. My hope that I hold on to is so much of these dudes the thing I've noticed in my research is I'm doing a Black Manosphere video. I did the other 2 ones. And so like this Black Manosphere video may fuck around be a 2-parter. I don't know. But like, as I'm researching, what becomes evident is that a lot of the dudes that are, you know, in the chat calling you a cuck or whatever are like, you know, your age. And by the time they're 25, they will have changed their username and mostly moved on. They won't have maybe like fully switched perspectives, but they'll at least be out of that like space. So like, I'm praying that that's not an anomaly, that's really just a lot of young dudes, especially in the world as it is today, just kind of literally raging against the machine.
Right.
So that's the thing I hold out on as hope. But it's also clearly a lucrative grift. Like any one of us, any dude that can talk with confidence can pop up on YouTube, say some, well, no, not any dude, because there's the one dude that keeps on trying to fuck with Haryana that got like 4 subscribers.
Right, yeah.
So not any dude. But any
some people they try to do it and they just don't got it. It's like, it's like I can't look at you. Like, I know it's all a facade. It's like this, you can't fool me at all.
Yeah, you gotta have actually had some maidens at some point to get that energy.
The thing that's crazy about that is because specifically with the person in question, you know, that I'm, you know, kind of beefing with right now. He made it a very he kept playing on effects. We would call him like, oh, you know, the god of incels, right? And he would make it a point to be like, how can I be an incel, you know, if I'm married with kids? And it's like the thing that he doesn't understand is we're not calling himself an incel. We're saying that you are the god of incels. A person like him is always, you know, the model alpha male, yada yada, you know, 6'5", you know, built, you know, person with muscles, you know, that's saying all this shit. But the people you're saying it to are not that lucky. The thing that's saving you is you look good, you have money, and you know you got clout. But for all these other niggas, they may not be looking like you look, you know, they may not be the conventionally style attractive, you know, model, you know, peak male physique, you know, they may not have the height, you know, and then when the only thing you got is your personality, and your personality is shitty. I hate women, you know, then it's like you're not getting no type of play. That's the point. It's like you're fostering this community full of niggas that's not gonna get no play. You got
because they trying to be like you. Tell them niggas to read.
Tell them niggas to be funny.
Tell them to be funny. Tell them to shower. Tell them to clean their room. At least Jordan Peterson did that.
Tell them to do something that's redeemable. Because when you're a person like them, and it's like you have no redeemable qualities, and you're listening to a person who clearly has all these things that you don't, and all these things are why they have the things that you don't. It's like you're not gonna be getting anything. It don't make sense.
Yeah, there's 2 types of the thing that's clear to me is in the manosphere. There's 2 types of people making content. There's people that are the swimmer's body. Have you heard of the swimmer's body fallacy?
I have not.
Long story short, dude, like dude you're talking about. There's dudes that have never actually had to learn game per se, because they were really good looking dudes. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, I hate how the insults would be like, gotcha, you only care about his looks. Like, if the nigga hot, like it's
a fact. Like,
it's a fact. Like, deal with it. You know what I'm saying? Do you? So there's those dudes who have never had to fully whose personalities may be as magnetic as they can be, are also buoyed by the fact that they're conventionally attractive in American patriarchal, whatever code words you want to use, right? And then there's the zealots, and the zealots are like your boy that keeps trying to make videos about Ariana, where it's like it's clear like outside of this space you don't talk to humans,
right?
You know what I'm saying? Your friend group that's not on YouTube treats you like the butt, and you're working through that by raging against other people. And it's an interesting dynamic because nobody's really getting served by either one of those.
Right.
You're either an incel that doesn't know that you're either an incel that doesn't look like dude and thus are never going to take his alpha male strategies and actually make them work. Or you're just listening to this other nerd rage and black pill you deeper into depression and possibly self-harm because you don't know any better and you're too scared to like separate from this identity and ideology that all of us were like understand and we're wrapped. Like, and I don't, you know, watch Joe's video about being weird, and this is because that resonated with me because I had a similar experience. None of us just came out the woodwork being confident in the ways in which we did not fit in. Right? I talked about in the last video, my brother and sister were both, you know, all world athletes, you know, and were closer to each other. Like they both went to high school at the same time. And I always was like the last person to get to whatever school they were at. And so I remember people expecting me to be like an all world, you know, athlete. Right. You know, right. My brother was prom, you know, king or homecoming king or some shit. And I'm like, nope. Not me. You know what I'm saying? Do y'all watch the new Sailor Moon? No? Okay, I guess I won't talk about that anymore for the next 6 years. And so like none of us came out the woodwork confident in the ways in which we didn't fit in. And not fitting in is never fun because humans require and need community to be at our best function or function at our best. And so like that can build resentment and frustration, but like that doesn't have to become who you are. And you're not going to solve that by becoming the alpha dominant, you know, in your space, and making a lot of money. Because a lot of these motherfuckers with a lot of money still not happy. Right. You know, Andrew Tate is a perfect example. He doesn't see, you know, he's got all this shit. He's got 7 girlfriends and no fucking love. Like, imagine that.
It's just like at that point, it's like, what's the point? Like, you know, you're getting all these things, you know, only seeing superficial aspects of them, and like you're rejecting the parts of them that would make you happy. It's like, but the point to have these things is to be happy in the first place. Yeah. But like you're looking at it in terms of like, oh, I have to get this as an accomplishment, or I have to beat this person to assert my dominance, you know, to protect my ego, stuff like this. And it's like, these are things that you're supposed to look towards as accomplishments, as in like, I'm happy and fulfilled. Not accomplishments as in like, I defeated this person, I'm better than you. You know, I can, you know, mask my insecurities, you know, with all these things that I have.
Niggas be playing Dark Souls in real life.
Right.
Like, I understand Dark Souls is fun to some people. I've tried it multiple times. It doesn't click for me because I don't enjoy banging my head against a wall to get a thing done. I don't enjoy grinding, you know, in RPG games. Now I get it, because there's a feeling of mastery. I do play fighting games, ironically, and I'll fight a nigga that whip my ass 50 times in a row if he let me. But like, I'm not about to do this boss battle, you know what I'm saying? And this dude got cheap ass attacks, and so yeah, that metaphor fell apart somewhere. But you get my point. It's like dudes are trying to gamify their lives and thinking that, much like a real boss battle in the game, that once you become the powerful figure that will fulfill you. But even in the game, that fulfillment is fleeting.